Hey, champ! Hey, champ! Oh, there you are, champ. Sit down. Take a seat. Listen. You know I'm proud of you, right? I'm becoming just like my old man. I love you. I don't say that enough. Sorry I did that to you guys. I thought that would be a funny intro. No. That was something else. You're so fast and cool and strong and smart and unique and big and special and other stuff. And you know who else is all those things? This deck is... this deck was honestly an accident. Completely by accident. I went into the store. I've been trying to make a Voltron deck and a Reanimator deck unsuccessfully on both. I've not been able to find something at this point. And I go into the shop and I see Simone and Dina. I always think Timon and Pumbaa to remember their name. Simone and Dina. But I see Simone and Dina, pull them out because I'm like, that would be kind of a cool Reanimator deck. Hated it. But when I bought Simone and Dina, I picked up like 5 big creatures that I could reanimate, and one of them was Brokkos, Apex of Forever. And when I decided I didn't want to make Simone and Dina, I kind of reread the cards that I bought to see if any of them were like legendaries I could build. And I read Brokkos, and I had this exact chain of reactions. I went, It was, yeah, I figured out what you could do with this thing, and it's real good. It's real good. On top of being super cool looking, because, I mean, he looks sweet. It also taps into that part of my brain that's like, Nick, you can do everything all the time. And I was like, you're right, my brain. I can do Reanimator and Voltron at the same time. And always in a house. I've played 6 games with this deck so far, and I've lost none of them because it's a monster. Straight from Sri Lanka. If you don't know what Brokkos does, the big bad boy should be on the screen. He's 2 a black, a blue, and a green for a 6/6 trample. His mutate is 2 a hybrid Dimir and then 2 green, if I'm not mistaken. And then you can mutate him out of your graveyard as though he was in your hand. So yeah, our commander's pretty much always gonna cost 5 as long as we have something in play to put him on. And we're gonna with all the reanimation we run. So if you don't know how mutate works, you're sadly mistaken if you think I'm gonna explain it to you right now, but I will give you a basic crash course. One of the first and most important rule of mutate is it says non-human, because I recorded this entire video once already and edited it for 2 hours just to realize that 3 of the cards in my deck that were some of the coolest cards were humans. So keep that in mind. To mutate something, you pay the mutate cost. You put it above or below a creature you control. It is the exact card that is on top. So if you mutate on top, let's say you put Brokkos on top of something, it is still Brokkos. It's a 6/6 with trample, but it has all the abilities of every card in the stack. So if you put Brokkos on, let's say, a Westgate Regent, our commander becomes a 6/6 trample, flying, ward, discard a card. Whenever it deals damage to a player, put that many 1/1 counters on it. It kills people. Kills them quick. Let's get into the deck. Okay, so we're going to jump into it first with some of my favorite stuff to mutate Brokko onto. So Armguard Familiar is sick, just because it's got Ward 2, which is nice for our commander to have, but it also, you can just play it and then reconfigure it onto Brokko later and give it Ward 2 again, and +2/+1, which is really good for the Voltron strat, and for protecting it, it's great to mutate onto. Love this thing. Yawn T Malison's pretty cool. 1 and a blue for a 2/1. If it attacks alone, it's unblockable, and if it does combat damage to a player, you venture into the dungeon. The dungeon thing's okay, but making our commander unblockable when it's alone, and then just cherry on top of the dungeon, not bad. Ghostly Pilferer, one of my favorite cards to put in all my blue decks now, but the fact that it can make itself unblockable if you discard a card, and this has a Reanimator sub-theme, so discarding cards are great. Mutating onto this thing's good, it draws you cards, it's fantastic. Nighthawk Scavenger is one of the only cards that I would consider mutating Brokko underneath, just because it has the potential to be bigger than him, but either way, giving Brokko Flying, Death Touch, and Lifelink is pretty nutty. Ukima Stalking Shadow. This actually came out of one of my other decks as one of the commanders because it's just too good in this deck. 1 a blue and a black for a 2/2 unblockable. When it leaves the battlefield, it deals X damage equal to its power to target player, which is just super good. And then you gain X life. I didn't even notice that part. Super good. Make our commander unblockable, drain them for 6 if it dies. Very good. Miri is a bomb. 2 and 2 black for a 3/2 flying, first strike, haste. Whenever it does combat damage to a creature, put a 1/1 counter on it. It'll have trample because it's our commander. It'll be a 6/6. Oh my gosh. So good. Rayami might be one of my favorite cards in here. 1 a black, a green, and a blue for a 5/4. If a non-token creature would die, exile it instead. So it does stop our graveyard strategy and other people's graveyard strategy, so it's a little sketchy, but I just thought it was too fun to give, like, Brokkos a 6/6 that has the ability just to have all the keywords on him. Kind of a pet card. Grime Gorger is awesome. It has overperformed the 3 games I've played it. 2 a black and a green for a 3/3 menace. When it attacks, you exile 1 card of each card type from defending player's graveyard and put a 1/1 counter on it for each card exiled this way. This thing was getting 3, 4, +1/+1 counters on it each swing, and it was my commander, so my commander was becoming like a 10/10 menace, and very, very good. Kura. Make our commander into a huge 6/6 flying Death Touch dragon that either gives us a token or searches for 3 lands when it dies. Yes, please. This is the example I brought up earlier, Westgate Regent. It's just ridiculous. This has won me a lot of those games. Rexiel Arisen the Deep's great. Just turn our commander into a 6/6 Island Walk, Swamp Walk, Trample. Whenever it does combat damage, rip an instant or sorcery out of someone's graveyard. It's super powerful. Speaking of super strong, we got Steel Hellkite. Turning our commander into a 6/6 that can pump itself with flying, trample, and it can board wipe. Pretty good, I'd say. And then finally, we've got Mirror Shell Crab. This is just good because it's a counter spell with channel. And then late game, we can just play it as a big ward crab and then mutate onto it to give our commander a ward. So, not bad. So weirdly enough, because this is a Voltron deck, we've only got 5 cards that really buff our commander in the terms of like auras or equipments and stuff like that. Because most of the creatures we run, mutating onto them is honestly just strong enough to deal enough commander damage very quickly. The ones we do run though are Sword of Vengeance, Black Blade Reforged, Sword of Body and Mind, Night Howler, and Boonsader. Which I do want to talk about these two, because they have Bestow. So if you don't know what Bestow is, it means you can play it for its Bestow cost as an aura enchanted to one of your creatures. And then it gives the effect from down below to that enchanted creature. The cool part about that is if the creature it's enchanted to dies, this falls off and stops being an aura and becomes a creature again. So if we mutate onto something with Brocko, and then Night Howler Bestow onto it, and then someone gets rid of Brocko, our Night Howler will fall off, become a creature again, and then we can remutate onto it. Same goes for Boonsader. It just gives +4/+2. This one gives +X/+X for each creature in all graveyards. So both really strong, but the fact that they fall off and become creatures are extremely useful in this deck. So like I said, there is a small Reanimator theme in here, because we got so many big, powerful creatures we're trying to mutate onto late game, we might as well be able to bring those creatures back. We've got Reanimate, Dance of the Dead, and Animate Dead as the classic, like, big 3 cheap Reanimator spells. And then for the more techie Reanimator spells, we've got Scarab God, Portal to Phyrexia, and Shieldred. Shieldred's really cool because she also has Swamp Walk, so mutating onto her is also very, very strong. But all these are very similar. They essentially bring back 1 creature. These 2 bring back 1 creature on my upkeep. This, for 2 a black and a blue, can bring back a creature from anyone's graveyard as a 4/4 token. So, all really strong, but the 3 cheap ones, 3 more techie ones. And then very quickly, before we get into like the basics, like the mana ramp, the card draw, removal, stuff like that, these are 3 cards I wasn't sure where to put them. They're just kind of like either pet cards or cards that really didn't fit into another theme in the deck. Defense Grid I like a lot because I don't run a lot of removal, a lot of instant speed removal or counter spells. I don't think I run a single counter spell in this deck. So I don't want other people to be playing those when I'm trying to pop off with my commanders, so it's always useful. Halo Forager is just crazy. You could have put this in the Reanimator pile, but it gets an instant or sorcery, not a creature, so I wasn't sure if I should. But it rips an instant or sorcery, as long as you pay X when you play it, out of anyone's graveyard. So, it's extremely strong, becoming a pet card of mine. I put it in any deck I can. Prized Amalgam is notably not a super strong card, but I really like it in here. Whenever you cast a creature from your graveyard, Prized Amalgam enters with that creature. So, as long as we're mutating out of graveyard, that counts as us casting a creature out of grave. So, Prized Amalgam will come back with our commander every time we play it. So, I just like that. Getting a 3/3 with our commander. One of the best blockers we can get, baby. So getting into the basics are removal, card draw, board wipes, mana ramp, stuff like that. We're going to just read the cards. I'm not really going to be reading through the text or anything. You can pause the video if you want. They're very self-explanatory. It's removal, card draw, mana ramp, board wipes. So for removal, we've got Go for the Throat, Prismaris Eliminator, Feed the Swarm, Soul Shatter, Callous Blood Mage, Reclamation Sage, Ravenous Chupacabra, and then we move on to card draw, Sign in Blood, Hieroglyphic Illumination, Telling Time, Read the Bones, Ambitious Cost, Atrice Oracle of Half-Truths, Notion Rain, Compulsive Research. I think if it's not, I'm going to replace it with that. Pilfered Plans, Siphon Mind, Life's Finale, Deadly Tempest, for our 2 board wipes there, obviously. Actually, we'll talk about those a little bit, because those are kind of cool in this deck. Life's Finale is great, because it tutors up, or it rips out 3 creatures from an opponent's grave or library into their graveyard. So with our Reanimator sub-theme, it's pretty nice. And then Deadly Tempest makes each player lose life equal to the number of creatures they controlled that were destroyed. And we're only going to have like 1 or 2 creatures in play, so that's not going to affect us very much. But getting into Mana Ramp, or Mana Rocks, whatever you want to call it. We got Soul Ring, Simic Signet, Elysian Caryatid, Relic of Legends, Solemn Simulacrum, Burnished Heart, Ornithopter of Paradise, Arcane Signet, Golgari Signet, Mind Stone, Arboreal Grazer, and Coalition Relic. And if you're a math whiz, you may put together that we're missing 5 cards. And I will talk about those, so let's go. We only shop locally around here. I also have that light right in my face, so I probably look very angelic right now. I'm going to keep it. We're keeping it. We got Boneyard Lurker, Sawtusk Demolisher, and Auspicious Sterix. We'll put those right here. They're just 3 cards with Mutate. I don't want this to be a full-on Mutate deck, but those 3 were just so strong that I was like, all right, we'll put those in there. They remove things, put things into play for free, and return things from your graveyard whenever we mutate. And then we got Slippery Boggle and Slippery Bogbonder, because they have to go together in the deck, and just giving our commander hexproof is awesome. So now that we got that out of the way, now we got the awkward stuff out of the way. Did you like it? Did you like my deck? I really like it. We played 5 games. I'm gonna get this out of my face. I feel like I'm being interrogated. I played 5 games with it. I won them all. It's super strong deck. I can say that it's resilient. That's probably the first word that pops into my head, which is weird because it's a Voltron deck, so that's not the first word I normally think of. I normally think of fragile when I think that, but Mutate's a hell of a drug. The game plan pretty much every game was play a 1 or 2 drop that's either hard to deal with or evasive, mutate onto it on turn 3 or 4, and then continue to smack face with that evasive small creature for 6 and deal commander damage. When they inevitably get rid of our commander, we go ahead and play a mid to late game bomb like the Westgate Regent, and then we mutate onto that and we continue to smack face. And then late game, when everyone's board wiping, removing, board wiping, hopefully our resilience of our Reanimator package will be able to bring back